Hello everyone, the Instant Camera Guy here, and welcome to another episode of Instant News, the show that I'm doing about once a month at the moment because truly we are living in a renaissance period for instant cameras, and there is just so much happening at all times. Gone are the days where I genuinely thought that I would be running out of content ideas after only a few months. It just does not stop coming. The first thing I'd like to talk about, for those that are following my recent series of trying to refurbish the dead on arrival SX-70 Alpha M by Philanthropy, will know that the video series will likely have a bittersweet ending because I will be converting this camera to take an SX-70R PCB instead, at least at this stage. The reason being is that I'm just simply not getting any kind of response to my troubleshooting questions from Dan, and that means that this board is effectively useless because I can't get it to take a decent photo. I don't know whether the technician did something wrong or if there's a problem with the board, but with no option to troubleshoot issues, the only solution that I have left is to replace the board entirely with something that is known, working, and has good support, and at this stage, that would be the SX-70R PCB. I will be following this up with a video where I show you my newest method of wiring in the polar volt battery conversion, so do keep your eyes peeled for that video, and then there will likely be a final part where I strip back all the bits and pieces and replace the circuitry with an SX-70R, as well as reskin the camera too. Alright, first bit of actual outside of the Instant Camera Guy news, I wanted to talk a bit about a survey that was posted to Reddit r/Polaroid the other day by a Polaroid employee. Because I'm spiritually a boomer, I printed out the questions, and I wanted to read them out. So there was about 16 questions asked in this survey, and the survey was titled the Polaroid 600 survey. The reason that I'm going through what otherwise would appear to be a very boring topic is I think the nature of the questions is very interesting and might hint at future movements of the Polaroid Corporation, in particularly what they're going to be doing with film going forward, such as SX-70, 600, and I-type film. So, without further ado, those questions were: question number 1, what 600 type camera do you use? What SX-70 camera do you use? Why do you shoot Polaroid 600 or SX-70 film? How often do you shoot SX-70 or 600 film? Question 5 is, do you also use I-type film, either in an I-type camera or by transferring it to a 600/SX-70 cartridge and shooting it in your vintage camera? For those Polaroid employees writing this, or maybe you've had your camera converted to take I-type because of an external battery solution, perhaps? Question 6, how does 600/SX-70 film compare to I-type film? So now that's an interesting question because as viewers of this channel will probably already know, 600 and I-type film is exactly the same film. It's just one has a battery and one does not. It's otherwise completely identical. The emulsion is exactly the same. So perhaps they're trying to get an idea whether people perceive the film differently, maybe through a bit of placebo effect, or if people just still aren't educated as to whether the fact that it is the same emulsion. And for that matter, SX-70 film too, which is also basically just 600 film, but with the actual negative inside the film being tinted black. Question 7, what do you feel the differences are between 600 SX-70 film and I-type film? So again, I think they're trying to get an understanding, do people actually know what the differences are? But the questions really start to get interesting at question number 8 here, which is, number 8, how do you feel about having a battery included in each 600/SX-70 film? Again, 600 film and SX-70 film has a polar pulse battery built into the packs of film, which, if I just quickly take apart a pack of film to show you guys, looks a bit like this. Inside, there are 2 rectangular lithium-ion manganese oxide cells of 3 volts each, which are connected together, outputting 6 volts at a roughly 750 milliamp hours. So certainly more than enough to power the camera, but also more than enough to power it more than once. There is easily enough juice in one of these batteries to get through at least 5 packs of film. So it is somewhat wasteful to include such a powerful battery inside each pack, and I wonder what Polaroid might be getting at here through the questions in this survey. So yeah, question 8, they ask how you feel about that battery being built in. Question 9, if you don't like the idea of having a battery, please explain why. Now, this is interesting because coming up, Europe is passing legislation that is making consumer products, like smartphones, for example, basically anything that has a rechargeable battery in it, they are trying to make that user replaceable. Now, here at the Instant Camera Guy, I would like to point out again, I've been ahead of that curve for many years now. I have never once endorsed I-type battery solutions that don't have easy-to-replace user replaceable batteries, but soon law will be forcing companies to change their ways, basically. I mean, regular viewers of the channel will know I've talked at length about current Polaroid I-type cameras and their non-user replaceable batteries, but I'm wondering if these upcoming legislations will also be affecting things like packs of film. Or perhaps environmental consciousness is just getting the better of most consumers, and maybe Polaroid wants to do away with the older system. I'm not sure, I'm just pointing out questions in a survey. I would love to know your thoughts below in the comments as we wildly speculate together. Question 10 states, if your vintage 600/SX-70 camera could be powered in another way, would that interest you? Now that suggests to me that Polaroid is dipping their toes into alternative ways of powering the camera. Perhaps they are inventing their own I-type solution, such as my PolarVault. Maybe they'll do similar to what Mint and Retrospect have done and invent their own I-type adapter back that you could purchase directly from Polaroid. Or perhaps they're looking at modifying the packs of film themselves to somehow separate the battery. There have been hack methods shown on the internet, which I do not endorse, by the way. I've covered this before in previous videos, which involve taking an I-type pack of film and taking a Polar Pulse battery, basically taping it to the bottom and jamming it into the camera. Again, I cannot stress what a bad idea that is. Please do not do it. But there is some method to the madness here. If Polaroid were able to redesign these packs of film, it may be possible to insert some kind of battery underneath the film before inserting it into the camera like some kind of sandwich. As I said before, the Polar Pulse battery has enough juice in it to power multiple packs of film. You can easily, like if you were to buy a 5-pack of film, you could easily power the camera with all 5 packs of film off of one Polar Pulse battery. So one method that I considered is maybe Polaroid are considering redesigning the packs of film so that you can fit batteries underneath them. I mean, I don't know if this is possible, but in theory it is. And maybe what that would mean is that, you know, they could just have the one kind of film, sell a battery separately, or maybe if, let's say, you bought like a 5-pack of 600 film, it would come with one battery and then 5 cartridges of film. I'm not sure, I'm just wildly speculating here based on these very interesting questions. I would, again, love your feedback and comments down below, because it certainly seems like Polaroid is planning something, and they just haven't said what it is yet. And, well, what are we supposed to do if not wildly speculate? The next question is, what do you value the most about 600/SX-70 film? Have you ever had difficulty finding 600/SX-70 film? How does the availability of Polaroid 600/SX-70 film influence your purchasing decision? In terms of film being available, that's never been my main reason for recommending people 600 convert cameras. We know that SX-70 film, at least modern SX-70 film, is produced in much smaller batches. That's why it's constantly out of stock, because when it does become in stock, people tend to buy a lot of it and then hoard it away like Smeagol. But the main reason that you should 600 convert a camera is for the 4 times faster shutter speed and smaller aperture in bright sun. Your photos just in general are going to be much sharper, and your camera will be able to perform in lower light scenes. Availability personally doesn't affect me so much because I don't really care. As long as I could buy 600 or I-type film, I really don't care about SX-70 film. How do you usually buy your Polaroid film? How many film packs do you purchase online or in store? And how many packs would you say you buy annually? I answered this survey myself, and I must show up on the system as some kind of an outlier because I buy hundreds of packs of film a year because I film test each and every camera that gets sent out. So yeah, not sure if my answers are going to be helpful at all since it's clearly not the norm. But I do encourage you guys, I'm going to link the survey down below. Obviously, if you're watching this video months later, it probably won't apply. But if you do want to answer that, the survey, at least at the time that I'm recording this, is still up. So answer honestly, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. Again, I'd really like your comments down below. What do you think's going on at the Polaroid factory? What do you reckon's going to come of this? The next thing we have to talk about, there is a lot going on in terms of the SX-70R and adjacent projects in China. First of all, those that have an SX-70R PCB converted camera and are an Android user, rejoice in the fact that there is now a new Android app. Not only does it look a lot nicer, matching the theme of your phone, like dark mode for example, but it now features half-stop shutter speeds. So 8,000, 6,000, 4,000, 3,000. This makes the user experience a lot nicer, because it gives you just so much extra control. Other than that, there's not really much to say. It will be available on the Google Play Store shortly. Right now, it is downloadable as an APK file directly from the website so that you can side-load it onto your Android phone. Very easy to do. Just follow the instructions on the website. I am confident that an iPhone app with half-stop apertures will follow very shortly if it's not released already. But yes, I have been pressuring Youngmin to update the app for quite a while. Much like me, Youngmin is a one-man band at this stage and has a lot of projects going on simmering in the background. And I basically just decided to sort of ring him in at a moment and go, no, let's focus on one thing at a time. And personally, I think it was more than long enough. Enough time had passed. That app really needed an update. And so there you go. Half-stop apertures by popular demand. One of the cool things is that even if you don't have the latest PCB in your camera, because I think right now the SX-70R, like for sonars, is up to like revision 6, and for alphas is up to like revision 4, the app will work regardless of when you had your camera converted, right? Even if you had the very first generation of PCBs, it's still going to work because of that Bluetooth connection. Nothing physically is altering the camera. It's all done via software. So that new app will work regardless of when you had your camera refurbished, which is just one of the reasons that I really like the SX-70R project, because a lot of people have been like, oh, well, you know, what happens if the app ever dies one day or something like that? The truth is it's actually quite future-proofed. The code is not apparently that difficult, and Youngmin's told me that if at any stage he decides to, you know, quit the project or anything like that, he'll likely just make the app open source so that it can live on forever. But yeah, the Bluetooth functionality is actually more of a blessing than a curse, because it means new features can be added randomly really at any stage. And then, as well as the new app, Youngmin is working on a new dongle. Now, this is something I get requested all the time. People wondering, can they buy one of the dongles like I had featured in my video? The answer is yes, but they're coming. This particular dongle design that I featured in my very first SX-70R video, the one that has the little wheel and the little OLED screen, this particular one apparently is quite difficult to produce. It's got a lot of different parts. It's quite expensive, and Youngmin has been looking at a simpler design for quite a while now, because, like I said, these ones were just so hard to keep in stock. Basically, when they would make these boards, I would pretty much buy up all of them. And so everyone else sort of missed out. So Youngmin decided enough was enough. We need something that's simpler and easier to produce. So the new dongle that's coming out is going to be a lot more intelligent. It's also going to feature a touch screen, which will be really, really cool. I personally cannot wait for that to come out. It's going to have a lot of the same features as the classic dongle design, but obviously will just be a lot newer. It's also going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be far less compact than this one because it's going to involve less parts, less physical switches, and I think that's going to be a nice touch. Currently the dongles are about the same size as a flash bar, a little bit thicker, but yeah, they will be being reduced in size, and with a touchscreen should be able to have more features. So keep your eyes peeled on that. Yongmin is working as hard as he can, but remember that he is a one-man operation, much like myself. Now, speaking of products from China, this one doesn't come directly from Yongmin, but from Yongmin's friend, named Chen Zeng. I believe I'm getting that correct. Let me just check. Yep, that is correct. Chen Zeng. And he is the inventor of this flash, known as the Polar Strobe 600. Now, before you ask me 6 million questions about this flash, please note, yes, it is coming out. No, it is not currently available. This is a pre-production model, but the production model should hopefully be coming out within a month. Yes, when the production model comes out, I will have a video explaining all the features of it. So don't worry, I will be stocking these. I'll be trying to sell them to as many of my clients as I can. All in good time. I know I'm going to get 6,000 questions about this. I will be doing a more in-depth video series later. Please do not clog up my DMs with questions about this flash and how much it is and all that kind of stuff. I promise I will answer them in the future in greater detail, but for now I will go through a few basic features. This flash is about the same size and shape as a mint flash bar, but it does things a little bit differently. The first thing is this flash is for 600 and I-type film only. So sorry SX-70 shooters, this flash isn't going to apply for you, but honestly, if you only shoot SX-70 speed film, there are better options for flash anyway. Just go and buy like a classic Polatronic flash from back in the 1970s, or just shoot regular flash bars. In my opinion, given that modern SX-70 film is really just tinted Polaroid 600 film, I don't consider there any real need to shoot the stuff, and so this being for 600 and I-type film only is absolutely fine by me. But being that it's for 600 film only means the capacitor inside can be a lot smaller than the bank of capacitors required by the mint flash bar, and that means the charging time is greatly reduced. Charged, and the mint is still going. There we go. So yeah, it charges in basically half the time of the mint flash bar, has a much faster recycle time, and is USB-C rechargeable. Those that can see through the clear housing will see that this uses the same 10440 battery cell as my PolarVolt battery solution. This is also the exact same battery that the SX-70R dongles take. And that is because I've had personal input with the designer of the flash and the dongles and the SX-70R project, because I'm trying to keep it very, very consistent. I want this entire ecosystem to use the same kind of batteries, because not only are these 10440 cells user replaceable because they're hard cells, they literally are the same shape and size as a regular AAA, but they are 3.7 volt, they are rechargeable, they are very powerful, and most importantly, they are cheap. Now, some people have said, oh, well, these batteries are a strange size and they're a bit hard to get in Europe and that kind of stuff. Yes, all lithium-ion battery cells will be hard to get, if you're comparing it to just walking into a gas station and buying AAA batteries off the shelf. It's no different to like buying a battery for your phone. You're probably going to have to import them, but these are very cheap and they're a standard design. You can get these off Amazon, eBay, AliExpress. The reason that I've chosen the 10440 cell is because not only is it compact, but it's the same shape and size as a AAA, and that means that, everyone on Earth knows how to replace a AAA battery. There's no special skills required. You literally just take them out of the camera, right? And then you put them in, and there's a positive and a negative side, and it's all very, very obvious. They're very powerful, as I said. and they're very quick to charge. Externally, in a battery charger, like the one I use for the Polar, you can get a full charge in under an hour, and the dongles and the new Polaroid 600 are USB-C rechargeable. So, as I said, there is a socket on the side. You can charge them just, using your same USB-C cable that you would use on your phone. Some other features that this has a PC flash sync port, which you can use either while the flash is turned on, or you can turn the flash off and just use the sync port for studio strobes. The Mint flash bar also has studio strobe sync, but I believe it only fires when the flash is turned on. I don't believe it fires while the flash is turned off. This one, the sync port is bi-directional, so you can actually use a 2.5mm jack to trigger the flash, and vice versa apparently. So you can fire a strobe or trigger the flash using a cable, which really, really cool. And it has a series of test lights showing charge. So we can see here all 4 LED lights are lit up, indicating full charge. The final production model will have a high voltage LED, basically just letting you know if the capacitor is charged with high voltage, because when you turn the flash off, you must hit the test button in order to dump voltage from the flash before you open it up to replace the battery, right? Now, that's to reduce your likelihood of zapping yourself. Honestly, it's a bit of a non-necessary feature because if your battery was dead and you were going to change it, then the capacitor wouldn't have been charged anyway, but we do like safety here at the Instant Camera Guy, and so yeah, it will have a high voltage capacitor, a high voltage LED indicating that the capacitor has some charge in it. That's going to be the only difference between the production model and this particular model. One last feature which I want to talk about, and you guys might be able to just see it right here next to the little transformer. There is a trim pot on the circuit board which will adjust flash brightness. Now, I believe that these are calibrated to be about 310 volts, but you can turn them all the way down to 280 volts, and you can turn them up to have a higher voltage. And what that is going to mean is, if for some reason you have an SX-70 where the flash cam follower isn't adjusted properly, maybe it's not adjusted from factory or something like that, you should actually be able to adjust flash output to compensate for that, for the advanced users, which I think is a really cool and neat feature. It's going to be great to be able to just crank up that exposure a little bit if you are getting results that you're not happy with. I discussed on my Mint flash bar video in excruciating detail how the cam follower assembly works and how aperture and flash and stuff is calibrated. So go and watch that if you want a good understanding. In a nutshell, not every single camera came out of the factory calibrated for electronic flash properly, and that is especially true of early cameras such as this one here. So there may be a possibility to adjust for that for the advanced user if you want to go ahead and do that. I think giving power to the people like that is a really, really cool idea. And then lastly, you guys are probably going to want to see some sample photos. Again, I will be doing this in greater depth in another video, but I've already started to take a few comparisons, as you can see here. Now, I posted this to my Instagram yesterday, and the overwhelming consensus that I got from people is that people liked the colors in the PS600 slightly better. I'm gonna say it already. Honestly, there's not that much of a difference here. If you are buying a PS600 because you think, oh, it's going to be 6 million times better than the Mint flash bar, no, it's not about that. At this stage, it's really just about giving Mint some competition. Because honestly, they are the only ones that have made an SX-70 flash for modern SX-70 cameras. Literally the only company. No one else has done it. It's just Mint. And they haven't changed the design of their Flash Bar 2 in years, despite there being so many things that they could upgrade on this. So I think it's nice that some competition is appearing. Hopefully Mint will upgrade the cameras based on, maybe some of the suggestions. I think they need to redo the labeling because it's confusing having this weird half power setting, which is actually a quarter power setting for 600 and the SX-70. I just don't like it. And they could also introduce more filters filters, I think, because they had these little magnetic clip-on filters, and then they only released 2 colors that no one really cares about, like a pink and a fluoro yellow. So, give us more features, Mint. Do something. You got competition now. But yeah, really, like, that's the whole point. Pricing-wise, these are going to be, I think, slightly cheaper than the Mint Flash Bar. As I said, there are pros and cons. These take regular 2 AAAs. That's going to be a big advantage for some people. Some people are really going to like the USB-C recharging of these. As I've done videos on in the past, you can also run a Mint Flash Bar off a 10440 lithium-ion cell. So using the same battery, I mean, both flashes are going to be very, very capable. As I said, performance is very similar. Color grading is a little bit different. I will admit the Mint Flash is a little bit warmer. The PS600 is a little bit cooler, at least from my testing so far. It's really just going to depend on what you want, I think. But certainly the faster recharge time, the built-in USB-C recharging, and just the overall package of this, plus the sync, I think is going to make the Polaroid 600 a very popular choice among my clients. And yes, I do plan on selling them, provided that stock can be managed. At this stage, I will probably sell them alongside cameras I am overhauling. So if you've already had a camera overhauled by me, I will happily sell you a flash. Or if you are currently having a camera overhauled by myself, then I can sell one, provided that I have stock. So we'll see how that plays out over the next month or so. All right, and then the last thing that I wanted to cover, talking about overhauling things and keeping things in stock, is currently, at the time of me releasing this video, I am closed for taking on new client orders, and that is simply because I'm currently at capacity. My workshop is quite literally heaving with boxes of clients' cameras waiting to be refurbished, and I plan on accepting new orders sometime around August. So what that probably means is I will start taking down names, I will start accepting orders, and then I will be getting those people to be shipping their cameras out to me probably around mid-August to late August, so that I start receiving stuff, and that bunch of orders will likely see me through to near the end of the year. I am doing my best to keep up with the ridiculously high demand. As you guys may have seen, Linus from the YouTube channel, Linus and His Camera, recently did a video featuring me, which resulted in me getting a whole bunch of extra clients. He had a lot of kind words to say about my cameras. I should note, I didn't pay him to say any of that. I simply just refurbished his camera like I would have done anyone else. And yeah, it turns out his YouTube videos are actually quite big and famous, and he's quite a well-known photographer in the film photography scene. So yeah, that's resulted in me being very, very busy. And as a result, I've been currently sort of toying with the idea of what I can do in order to expand my operations. I have taken the first step in doing so, and I have actually hired, at least on a casual basis at the moment, to help me out with some of the prep work, a fellow YouTuber and personal friend of mine, and certainly friend of the channel, Ashlee, who I featured in a few videos where I made her magical Dream Girl camera. She also featured briefly in the Impossible i1 video where I customized that. Ashlee has her own YouTube channel focusing on her glitch art and some electronic stuff. She does a lot of work with like VHS and little DV camcorders and that kind of stuff, and is heavily involved in glitch art, and as a result has come to me a few times in the past for me to help like repair some of the gear that she owns, because, well, I know how to yield a soldering iron. And over the last few months, I've actually been teaching Ashlee how to solder in the background, and it got to the stage where I went, hey, you're actually quite good at this. Do you want to come and work for me? So she had her first trial run the other day, and honestly, I'm happy to report she is basically on par with soldering work, and can pretty much do stuff as good as I can, which I was very, very happy with. So at this stage, Ashlee will be helping out every month or so, basically as I need her, pretty much doing prep work. And what do I mean by prep work? Well, Ashlee isn't actually repairing any of the cameras, but she is helping me with things like preparing the SX-70R PCBs. So because I get these in bulk from Yongmin, the Bluetooth module and the electric eye are not soldered in by default. I have to do those on each of the cameras. It's all part of me just receiving these in bulk because each camera that I do these days has one of these boards installed. And, you know, although it only takes me a few minutes to install an electric eye and a Bluetooth module, if I have to do that for 50 PCBs, that's actually quite, like, that's several hours of work that I'm doing the same, like, task when I could be building a client's camera. So Ashlee is doing things like that. She's helping me prepare things like the buck converters that I use for the polar vault, and she's going to be helping me prepare things like smoothing capacitors on leads for SX-70 sonar cameras, helping me prepare things like the motors that I install, the high-speed motors, so we can give these cameras the best possible performance. And we'll probably end up helping me with things like de-skinning cameras and just doing small cosmetic things while I focus on the actual repair and calibration side. This is something that I've been toying with in terms of an idea for a very long period of time, and I've only just taken steps in terms of doing it, and I kind of wish I'd done it sooner. The truth is that there is just so much work that's involved running a business like mine, and having someone to help out in terms of those smaller jobs has actually been really nice. So I'm hoping that Ashlee can continue to help me out more and more and more. As I said, she had a trial run, and I'm happy to report past that with flying colors. She basically just sat next to me, brought all of her own tools along. She uses the exact same soldering iron, flux. Everything is identical to mine. It's literally the exact same iron. And yeah, as soon as I heard her basically going, just being quietly soldering, and then I hear her go, nope, that's not good enough. I thought, right, I've hired the right person. So yes, stay tuned for more updates in regards to that. And I think I'm exhausted. That should basically cover everything for today. So much going on, so many big things to come, absolutely huge. This industry just continues to get better and better and better. Absolutely crazy stuff. Anyway, I would love all your thoughts, comments, questions, all that kind of stuff below. As I said, please, for the love of God, don't inundate my inbox with questions about the Polaroid 600. I promise, if this becomes available, as soon as I have stock, I will be doing a video about them. But I would love to know your thoughts on the Polaroid questionnaire. What do you think it means? I would love to know your thoughts about Ashlee working for me. While you're there, check out her channel. She's a great artist, just a great person in general, and could do with your following and support as well. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day.